This is Lynn Oz, and joining me tonight is Bob with Trade Genius Academy, and we're going to talk about some interesting things. In fact, something that just happened today with the Federal Reserve. In fact, it's on the Business Insider. It says that the Federal Reserve left its benchmark interest rate unchanged and planned to start shrinking its balance sheet relatively soon, according to its policy statement released Wednesday. Following a 2 day meeting in Washington, D.C., traders saw a 0% likelihood that the Fed would raise interest rates, according to Bloomberg's World Interest Rate Probability data. Now, this is big news, and Bob's going to tell us how this is big news to us for those of you who don't understand these sorts of things. And he's going to give some details. So, being with what he does for Trade Genius Academy, which he's going to explain that a little bit later here, he knows about all this stuff. So, Bob, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Hey, Lynn, thanks. It was good timing for us to be talking.
Yes, for sure, especially since, as I just mentioned, this happened today. So please share with my listeners the details of this and how this could affect us or how it will affect us and why this is so important.
Yeah, so two things have happened today in that statement. One is that the Federal Reserve has made it clear about 2 weeks ago that they're getting concerned about the growth in the economy, and that with this Fed meeting they had today, they decided not to raise interest rates, and basically the likelihood of them raising interest rates for the rest of the year is pretty much now at 0%. And what that means is that the um, the dollar is going to start to roll over. So the dollar's been holding up relatively strongly against the other currencies around the world, and now the dollar basically fell out of bed today. And so that things that are real are like gold and silver and miners and agriculture and things of that nature have all popped today. And so what the traders are saying is that we better own something that's real and tangible because the Federal Reserve is giving up on the economy, and they're going to do whatever they can in terms of debasing the currency to try to keep the economy from rolling over very hard. And so we're going to see a shift in the marketplace. The Nasdaq and the Dow and the S&P have been hitting highs for the last couple weeks, but at the same time, the economy is rolling over. And usually, what that means is that this is called what's called the blow off. You have auto sales that are down, you have housing sales that are down, you have housing prices that are down, you have rental rates that are falling, and so you have the economy telling everybody alarm bells are going off, but you have the stock market being pushed up because these they call these trading algorithms have been using the dollar out of Japan and this thing called the volatility index. They've been creating a fake world for the stock market. That all ends this week, and so the other part of the announcement that the Fed had was that they're going to start reducing their balance sheet. So what that means is that that was money that they gave to the banks, and the banks are using it to speculate in the stock market. They're going to have to start giving that money back. So we're going to get a twofer here. So between now and October is that money's going to move out of the stocks that they're in and start moving into commodities, and money's going to start moving out of the stock market, period, because credit's going to dry up. So those who've been enjoying this move over the last couple weeks, this is pretty much the last hurrah. And if you haven't gotten out, you should, because with the way which they've been driving the market higher, it's really a mirage, and I really fear for people because when this thing rolls over, it's not going to roll over a couple of percent. It's going to roll over really, really, really hard. And so the smart people are already moving into bonds, and they're already moving into gold and silver. and that's how we're positioning our subscribers, and we're teaching them what to look for, at the academy. So we're well positioned. We've had a good month so far, and today was a great day for us in the things that we've been trading.
Yeah, and you've been warning about something like this for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, and Federal Reserve has they have the biggest stack at the poker table, and so they could keep this thing pushing along, but you get to a point where it just becomes ridiculous, and it basically hit ridiculous this week, and the Federal Reserve just basically threw up their hands. Japan did earlier this week too. They all threw up their hands and said, we can't create inflation. And it seems like a weird thing. Why would they want to raise prices on the people? You got to remember who the Federal Reserve works for. This is an evil organization that is in cahoots with the governments and with the banks. And all they care about is to make sure they keep the asset prices of the things that the banks own and the government owns higher. They don't care if it costs us more to live. But you get to a point where people simply can't afford it anymore. And you see it with the healthcare vote. They're having such a hard time with it because they can't figure out how to pay for things anymore. So now really, Lynn, what we have is we have Main Street in collision with Wall Street, and we have the dollar now falling out of bed, which is going to raise the cost of living for people. That's going to put further stress on everybody. So, when this happened before, this was around 2011. You can have your listeners take a look at the stock market then. That's when volatility spiked up. That's when gold and silver and the miners had a good run. And this is when the stock market had a really hard sell-off. And so that's our expectation. And so for our clients, what we're doing is, at the academy, we teach them what to look for, because you could see it ahead of time, because the big money can't move in secret, even though they would like to. And so we kind of teach people basically how to read their footprints. And then number two is we provide the trade signals. We got people in early today on gold, silver, and the miners, and they made really good money today, but it's just the beginning of the run. So that's what's going on. And Lynn, as you know, and we talk about other things, when this happened last time in 2011, this is when we had what's called the Arab Spring. And I know you were chatting me offline a little bit about the terrorism and stuff. You basically have Saudi Arabia with this new prince that looks like he's going to become the new crown prince of or king of Saudi Arabia. He's a very aggressive guy, and he's picking fights all over the place because he thinks we probably have his back. And now they're also getting aggressive now because he's been quiet over in Israel for a while. And so now that's starting to pick up. And that, if you noticed, both Iran and North Korea announced that they're going to be launching missiles tests at the same time. And those guys are in cahoots with each other. So we had this uptick in what I would call global instability. At the same time, the price of food and the price of oil and the price of metals and the price of living are moving up faster than people's incomes. And I think this is going to be the ripple effect that we've been waiting for. People have been waiting for the Federal Reserve to cry uncle. And when she started talking about raising these interest rates, we knew that wasn't sustainable. And when she cried uncle today, it basically, people are saying, okay, something's wrong with the economy, and you're going to start seeing that all start to unwind on everybody. So that's kind of like my waving the flag at people. This goes into what we call the winter phase of the economic cycles, and a lot of things are coming together. And you and I have been talking about this now for the last couple of years, and you see it coming and building. It's not like people have been immune and we just been crying wolf out there. I mean, you could see it. The restaurants are a mess. The retailers are a mess. The auto industry is a mess. People's incomes are falling. Healthcare costs are unaffordable. So these things are all out in front of us. And you have a media that's present company excluded, of course, is you have a media that it was only reporting what their people want them to report. They're ignoring anything that doesn't fit the narrative of the people that own them. And I think the surprises that are going to start popping out at people, I think, are going to be very injurious to people. And that's why it's so important that we have these conversations so people can absolutely start taking care of themselves and start getting into the right things and start preparing.
Yes, and for those of you listening, if you look below this video in the information section, there will be a link, and you can click on that link to go check out the Trade Genius Academy, and you can also contact Bob from his website there, and he'll answer any questions that you have. So just look below this video and you'll see the link and all the information. I'll have it at the top of the information section so it's not hard to find. So be sure and check that out. Now, Bob, I do want to ask you, just in plain English for the people out there listening who aren't, very educated in this sort of a thing, what does this mean for just the common everyday person like myself, who's out there, or the moms and the dads? What could this mean for us?
Yeah, so we've been under pressure with healthcare, and we've been under pressure with rent, and now we can start adding the pressure of increased costs of fuel and food and anything that we have to import. And so it's just going to be another level of stress on the family budget. And so if you're in industries that don't make anything, then you're in a service economy, then your job may have more stress. And so I think it's just going to cause additional stress in the system as the Federal Reserve tries to protect the assets of the elites from losing any money.
Wow. So, yeah, I would say this is something, that we have been talking about. We also know they're expecting some sort of a catastrophe this year, economically speaking. You're just going by the past and by history with how things happen. So people are watching for something to happen this year that could be detrimental. Now, you had mentioned what you and I were talking about before we started recording, and that was terrorism. Now, a lot of you have probably already heard, maybe there's a handful of you who haven't, about Palestinian killed 3 members of Israeli family in a West Bank stabbing. And this has been huge news. It was a bloody mess. And we know that that is terrorist related. We know that there's constantly tension between the Muslims and Israel and so forth. So, just this past March, Bloomberg posted an article titled "Terror Threat to U.S. Airports Said to Grow as Al-Qaeda Rebounds." Then there was another one posted in the same month of this year, March. It says "The Growing Threat of Nuclear Terrorism." And then just last summer, the UN warns of growing Islamic State terrorist threats. I mean, I had a few other articles up that I found. Here's one more: the growing threat of virtual terrorism. Now, these things are important because we need to know that this is real. This is a real threat to us, and everything is going to be affected when all hell breaks loose. And we know that we're in the end times, and we know that the Bible predicts all sorts of terrible events happening. Now, virtual terrorism, that kind of takes in, to me, that means to me that our money could be involved in that as well if there's a virtual terrorist attack. Right, Bob?
Yeah, and you're seeing it already. It's the rise of the cryptocurrencies, and we follow those very closely. So if anybody's interested in what we do there, we've been trading the cryptocurrencies for some time, and that's a direct threat to the sovereign money printers. And so they're going to try to co-opt that. And you have whole countries like India that's basically trying to get rid of cash. And once they get everybody into the banking system, it's just kind of like healthcare. You can't get off and you can't get out. Well, once they get you into the banking system, then they totally have you under total control. And that's I mean, you could just see the Book of Revelation unfolding in front of our eyes here. We have the Antichrist requires us to be in the system or out of the system and starve, and so this is how they're going to do it, and you just see it right in front of our eyes. I mean, you have the European Union is slowly getting rid of cash, and you have India that almost already have done it, and quite successfully, I may add. And Australia's right on their heels, and New Zealand's right there too, and that they want to put everybody into digital currencies, and so it's going to be that's how I think that's how this all ends up. There's a lot of other things they're going to do, and they're going to use terrorism, Lynn, and they're going to use economic dislocation, Lynn, just like they did in 27 and '07 and 2008. They're going to cause the markets to have these economic chaoses so that they can come in and rescue us from what they really created, but they won't take blame for. They're going to say, hey, we need to get everybody paying their fair share of taxes, so everybody's transactions have to be in the banking system. And that's what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, so they can create this whole new world order, one world government. And interesting, you were talking about the mark of the beast and the Antichrist. Did you hear that? Well, here's the headline on an article I'm looking at. It says, ushering in the mark of the beast. Wisconsin company to implant microchips in employees' hands to purchase snacks and open office doors easier. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, and in Spain, there's a bar that's actually doing it.
Well, yeah, and over in Europe for years now, there's a club, like an elitist club or something, that's been doing it for a while now. So, yeah, I'm sure most people have heard about this most recent event in Wisconsin, because I've seen it everywhere, all over Facebook, everywhere I go, this whole ordeal about this Wisconsin company. So just like you said, we're seeing the book of Revelation just happening right before our eyes. It's apparent that we are living in the days that were spoken of in the book of Revelation, in the book of Daniel, and in all of Bible prophecy, all throughout the Bible. We're seeing it happen now. So I can't urge people enough to prepare spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way, to be knowledgeable and to prepare and to watch and to know the times and the seasons, because I believe wholeheartedly we are in that season. Don't you, Bob?
I do. And, people always chast me all the time. It's just like, well, if God saves everybody, what should we be doing? And it's like, well, if it's the end, shouldn't we just sit back and wait? And actually, we're not called for that. We're really called to act. So, we need to always be doing the right thing. When Jesus comes back, he comes back. But until that day, we got to go about his work. We got to go about the work of taking care of our families. So, I don't intend to be a victim, during this period of time. So I'm always going to be looking for opportunities to make sure that as we go into this period of chaos, that I want to be in a position to help people. And so I want to be in a position to have the means to do so. And that's what why we do these conversations, Lynn, so we can help people. There's always, even in these economic dislocation times, there are opportunities. And when food prices go up, there are things that you can own in the stock market to help you pay for the higher grocery bills. The reason why we talk about metals and miners, you may not be able to own gold and silver. It might be too hard, but you can own a silver miner, or you can own a gold miner. And there's ways in which you can actually generate income from owning these stocks so that you can pay for the things that you need to pay for. And those are the kind of things that we do to really help people. And so I just don't want to be a defeatist kind of person. I'm a realist. I want people to know, and then once you know, then I want us to act. And so that's the message I want to give. There's things that we can do, you can do, I can do, and the things that we do in our respective businesses to help people. I don't even want to use the word prosper, because that's probably not the right word, but be in a position to help people, that when things are not going well for others, instead of you being a victim too, you can be somebody that can help people really drive things forward.
That's right. People are always asking, well, what can I do? I don't like to just put out, the doom and gloom aspect of it without telling people what can you do. So I'm always telling people spiritual things they can do to be ready, because there is coming, and it's already here. I shouldn't say coming. It is going to get worse, but a spiritual battle unlike any other we've ever experienced. So I like to tell people what they can do to get ready for what is coming. So Bob, with the few minutes that we have left, why don't you share with the listeners a little bit more detail about what you do at Trade Genius Academy. And then once again, for those of you listening, the link will be posted right below the video on my YouTube channel in the information section. So you can go right there and click on the link and check it out. If you have any questions, you can contact Bob. I believe there's a phone number you can reach him at, as well as a contact form and or email address. He'll let you know here in a second. And you can ask him anything that you're concerned about, and he'll get back with you and answer you promptly. So go ahead, Bob. Can you tell the people a little bit more about Trade Genius Academy?
Yeah. So what we do is two things. We consider ourselves educators, and then we provide information. So on the Trade Genius Academy side, what we've done is we've created a series of training seminars to take people from not knowing anything about the stock market at all to be able to, at the end of the 12 course series, is to be able to trade stocks and options and futures, but also to be able to figure out how to trade, generate income from options and how to generate income from stocks. And these things are all done in a prudent way. These aren't the get rich quick kind of things. These are ways in which you can drive your family forward and make money without having a whole lot of money to invest in the stock market. There are tricks and tips that you can use for you to be able to make money nearly every day in the stock market. Second thing that we've done with the Academy is we've created a whole section on tips and tricks. And then we have a second area that we've established for a lot of people that have very small accounts. It's called binary options, which is a way in which you can make informed decisions whether you think the stock market is going to be up today or down today for a variety of different things like gold or oil or whatever. A lot of people like to trade that way. It's very simple. It's either yes or no. And there's a way in which you can make a lot of money very quickly with small accounts to build it up to a bigger account to then invest in the stock market. And then the TradeGenius.co part of our business is really the trade signals. And so what we like to do there is we call them short swing trades. You're in trades for a week or two, and we try to grind out a couple percentage of gains on average for each trade each week so that people can drive their portfolio. We're always looking. We have a broad range of a watch list that we watch. It's all like highly liquid stocks, name brand, things that you would know if you saw them. And so we don't chase penny stocks for any crazy things like that. And then we provide those signals out, and then we have what we call our longer swing trades. These are the trades that we think when we see a secular move, and what I mean by secular, something that is going to be profound and it's going to be longer lasting, like food prices going up or gold and silver going up. And we put people in stocks that they don't have to trade in and out of every day. They can be in them for weeks and weeks at a time, and that way you know, if you're not a trader, but you'd like to know where you should put your money for weeks or months at a time, we offer that as part of the standard service as well. And we do all these things at very, very affordable costs. Our goal is to help you make money. Our goal isn't to take all your money. You know what I mean? So we make it very, very affordable to use our services, to use our training. And then because of you're such a friend of the show, what we do, we offer a 50% discount for those people for now until the essentially the end of the month of anything that we have. So what you're going to spend on the training and on the signals, you can basically make that in the first week or two using the information that we give you.
Well, that sounds like a great deal, and I certainly urge everyone out there, because I love all of you who are my subscribers and those of you who stumble across my videos here on YouTube. So I just hope that you will take the time to go check out Trade Genius Academy. And again, that link is right below the video. You can click on it and you're under no obligation. Just go check it out. And if you have any questions, Bob will be happy to assist you with any of those questions that you have. So be sure and check it out, because there's a lot happening and we do need to get prepared in every way possible. Well, Bob, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. I love, meeting up with you here on Skype and doing our talks we have once a month. It's awesome. So I really appreciate you taking time out to do that with me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate our time together as well.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I've been talking to you now for over a year, about a year and a half, maybe something like the year and a half, 2 years. So it's always interesting conversation. Next time we meet up, we'll have to talk some more about what is it, the global cooling that you really take an interest in, and you do a lot of research on that.
Yeah, for sure, and it's well underway now. You just have to look at the corn in Ohio and New York and Pennsylvania, and you can see the effects of it starting. And look how cold it is in the Northeast this year. I mean, it's snowing in Quebec, so things are happening. And next time, let's definitely talk about it, because I think there's some really fascinating things that are happening that, again, tie into biblical prophecy, tie into ways in which you can profit from it, as long as you're informed. We're supposed to be Bereans, so let us test the scriptures and test our knowledge, and not just sit back and let things happen to us.
For sure. And I think our first show we ever did together early last year was about the global cooling, and there was a lot of interest in that. People were fascinated with what you had to say. So yeah, for those of you listening, next time Bob comes on, we're going to talk about that. And if you didn't hear it last year, I'm sure there's new stuff about it that Bob will have to share. You'll definitely want to tune in and listen, because our last show that we did on that was just so interesting, and we had a lot of great feedback. So thanks again, Bob, and you take care. And once again, everybody listening, check out Bob. Click on the link below this video. And if you have any questions, feel free and write to him or make a phone call, and he'll answer your questions. Thanks again, Bob, and God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you too, Lynn, and have a great night.
You too. Thanks so much.